Everybody, welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. Tonight we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw for July 17th, 2017. With me as always is Raj Giri. Sitting in tonight is Chris Callicutt. Matt Morgan is off in Nashville with Kurt Angle to be there with him during this life-changing night for him and his family. And, Matt, send Kurt our very best. We're sure this is a very, very emotional time for you and the entire Angle clan, given that tonight it was revealed Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle's out-of-wedlock child that apparently parted so far from him into an adopted family, back to collegiate sports, and found his way to the WWE, where, lo and behold, his biological father is the general manager of Monday Night Raw.
And real quick about Matt, he's not. We don't want to get any rumors started. He's not in Nashville. He's in Toronto, so he's not on tonight, but he will be here this Sunday.
Keep it in kayfabe, man. In kayfabe, Matt is with Kurt.
Yeah. Big shoes to fill, quite literally, in my sense, apparently.
Yeah.
So, Jason Jordan, that was the big reveal tonight. Kurt seemed in pretty good spirits for something that was billed as, this could destroy my career. They could take away my Olympic gold medals. This is so scandalous. Just came out nervous, but then proud as can be. What did you think, Raj, about how this paid off? Months of buildup.
I think it could have been a lot worse. I think, as Hornswoggle reveals have shown us in the past, they could always be a lot worse, or Kevin Nash texting himself. There have been a lot of bad reveals. So as far as this, it pushes a young talent. It makes sense for the most part. I mean, it could have ruined his job, having, an illegitimate child that's on the roster. It's hokey, but at least it gets a young talent over. Obviously, I think anything they would have done would have been disappointing. Dixie Carter makes no sense. And I think unless it was Stephanie McMahon, and they're not going to do that, but if it was Stephanie McMahon, that would have been huge, and that would have gotten over like crazy. But they don't want to do that. They didn't pull the trigger on it before when they did the whole Stephanie, Kurt, Triple H love triangle, and they could have had Stephanie leave for Kurt, but instead, Stephanie racked Kurt, Triple H beat him, and that kind of killed that storyline. So as far as reveals go, this wasn't one of the worst. It was in a lot of ways one of the better ones recently.
Chris, were you satisfied?
All right, here's the thing for me. Did it get a huge initial pop? No, because it kind of came out of left field. Not really, because we saw the Chad Gable singles run, and they haven't been using Jordan for a while. But it gives Jordan a big singles chance. It gives him a sense of character development. So I'm here more for the longer story than just the initial pop of the reveal. So I think this actually is going to work out better in the long run than, say, it would have been like if it was a Dixie Carter or something of that nature. But let me ask you this, guys. Did you think this was the plan all along for the reveal, or did they just come up with this out of their behinds a couple of weeks ago?
I think because the timing, like when they started moving Chad Gable to singles and when this storyline started, I could almost see it being something they've had planned for a little bit, because it's clear that American Alpha was, not long as a tag team with, Chad Gable working as a single. So, where this leaves Chad Gable, I don't know. I kind of see them using him as a Sami Zayn, where he's, kind of used to put the top guys over, but we'll pick up wins here and there. But, I mean, the record of NXT tag teams on the main roster hasn't been sterling so far.
I popped myself with my own tweet this evening for that one, the little searching bar. But
I saw that. That was pretty good.
So hear me out on this. The thing about the controversy, how is it controversial if Jason Jordan made it to NXT on his own, was in FCW, into NXT, 6 years now he's been in the WWE in some capacity, was on a separate brand from the one Kurt Angle was the general manager of. I just don't see the controversy angle in it coming out. I mean, I think that's the part for me where it was kind of like,
Well, they sold it from all angles, like y'all said earlier. This could ruin me. And that's the reason I asked did they really know exactly what they wanted to do when they first started the little murmurings with Graves and Angle? Or did they just come up with this in like the last 2 to 3 weeks? Because they kind of toned it down a little bit toward the end and made it seem a little bit more confident and joyous, especially last week. So, you know, as far as reveals go, I think it was solid. I'm here for the long haul. Hope it does well, especially for Jason, because I've followed him since his early FCW days, and he's a fantastic talent.
I love Jason Jordan, but his singles run was nothing to write home about.
But he was really green then too.
That's true.
I mean,
did you guys watch Breaking Ground at all when it came out?
Yeah,
I thought
fantastic.
Jason Jordan was really good in that program.
Absolutely. I think what made him come alive, though, for me, I don't know about you guys, but it was his interplay with Gable. With Gable being the goofy one and Jordan getting to react to that. I think that's part of why American Alpha has so much chemistry. So Jordan on his own, I mean, we'll see what they do with it, you know?
Yep, exactly.
It could be something good. I mean, good on him that he's getting this push.
Yeah, he wasn't as convincing tonight as Kurt Angle. I thought did a great job. I mean, his crying and everything, I was like, wow. I mean, he came across as like it was a legitimate thing. Somebody already updated Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan's Wikipedia pages to change their personal history, but
it's almost as if these people that
great.
It's almost as if these people that are acting are not, you know, they're in the WWE primarily because of their acting talent.
Huh?
You know?
Well,
yeah.
Kurt Angle's been in some movies.
That's true. Can you name any off the top of your head movies that Kurt Angle's been in?
Yeah, wasn't he in Sharknado? Like one of them?
Okay.
Oh boy.
There we go. There we go. He's no The Miz. That's all I'm saying.
He's
when it comes to
no WWE Studios movies yet.
Yeah.
No big
which
time.
Is surprising. God, rewatched the original Marine over the weekend.
What?
Sorry.
Where
do you find the time or the inspiration to do this?
We adopted 3 adult cats 2 weeks ago, so we're spending the weekends at home while they get acclimated. We watched a ton of movies over the weekend.
But there's a lot of movies out there. Like to watch The Marine twice.
My wife had never seen it.
Oh my gosh!
And she liked the Marines 3, 4, and 5.
Raj just got a puppy.
Yeah,
Lynn just got 3 cats.
3 cats.
And I've already got 3 cats, so we're just all crazy cat people. At
Absolutely,
this point,
absolutely. The original Marine now, if the original Marine came out right now, it would be like a MacGruber-esque salute to the absurdness of late 80s action films. Like now it plays like a parody, and it's delightful. I'll just say that about the original Marine. I mean, John Cena in exploding buildings multiple times throughout the film. It was enjoyable.
All right, we spent too much time on the Marine.
Yes, WWE Studios.
That's going to be a separate podcast for Glenn in the future.
They're like, no, guys, really, there's something there on every WWE Studios release. So tonight, in addition to this reveal, not to bury the lead, but are the Shield reuniting? Or in some way, shape, or form? Is this going to be like, Guns N' Roses, where, hey, we got most of the band back together? Dean and Rollins in the opening segment. Raj, where do you think that this is going? And was it emotional for you seeing Seth sort of apologizing for the break of the Shield and Dean's baggage? You know, it was very soapy.
Yeah, I thought it seems to me like someone's going to turn heel at the end of this. Like maybe Dean turns on Seth. I think otherwise to me, it seems, I don't know. Come back to me.
Chris, how about you? Was this up there with like your fan fiction of the Shield getting back together?
Well, no, because I didn't think it was going to happen. Now, they teased the crap out of it because we were waiting in silence for Roman Reigns' music. And it never came. And the people were chanting Roman. And I'm like, oh, so this is how we get him over again. If we absolutely need to, as a, full-fledged babyface, if they decide to go that direction in the future, just bring the Shield back together and Alakazam, Star is Born once again. But I think, like Raj said, I think one of them has to turn heel. My guess is Ambrose, since they have Rollins on the cover of a video game. And I buy Ambrose as a heel much better than I do as a weird baby face. So that's as like a comedy, prop guy. I mean, I very much buy Ambrose as this sadistic sort of analytical heel. much better than his current character.
Yeah, Ambrose is just floundering right now, so he could really use it. I just wonder if this is something. Are they going with Ambrose and Rollins? Because Roman is kind of out of the picture right now. He's
right.
In the SummerSlam main event. Whether or not that's a four-way is what it's starting to look like with Braun and Samoa Joe. But it's so it's going to be a mini Shield reunion with Seth and Dean. But yeah, the fact that they're already doing the match next week with the Miztourage. I don't know if it's going to be one of those Goldust R-Truth things where it's just a long beatdown that leads to the SummerSlam match. But yeah, that's where they're going right now. I'd like to see that Dean turn, and that's your SummerSlam match is Dean and Seth.
Yeah, that'd be something. So we had the tease of what's going on with them in the Miztourage. We will see what happens there next week in a tag team match. 2 members of the Miztourage, their choice, against Seth and
it's a 3-on-2 handicap, actually.
Oh, 3-on-2 handicap.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Well, I guess it would kind of be weird to have the Miztourage without the Miz, and you can't have the Miz in one guy. That's not really a Tourage, as it were. So
very true, very true.
I think you need to give Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel some wins, because the problem is when you put 2 job guys. We were guys who had been enhancement talent, basically, with one star. It really almost always creates a forgettable group, whether it was the edge heads or, legacy. It should have been way more over than it was. You got all these groups that unless you got people that, the fans buy as stars, it just flounders. And that's where this Miztourage thing is going unless they start building Curtis and Bo Dallas more.
Yeah. God, it's going to be so weird when they have them tagging as the Miztourage minus the Miz. It's going to be like another Damien Mizdow situation, but at least it gets them on TV.
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss versus Bayley tonight. Bayley picking up a win. Nia getting involved. Sasha getting involved. Raj, it's almost as if we're going to be seeing a fatal 4-way at SummerSlam.
Man. Yeah, there you go. So if they do a fatal 4-way, it's basically exactly the WrestleMania match, except with Charlotte, Alexa Bliss instead of Charlotte. It's the exact same, wrestlers as WrestleMania. Yeah. So that shows how far their creativity has come, in 6 months.
Well, I would counter that with the 5-women elimination match on SmackDown. That creativity across the board is become a hallmark of the women's division.
And Alexa was in a multi-person match at WrestleMania as well. Yep. She was defending her title in a multi-person match at WrestleMania. Now defending in a multi-person match at SummerSlam. So I'd like to see Sasha win, and you go with the Sasha Alexa rematch, and put a real storyline behind it. But whenever they do this with the champion getting beat by multiple people, that's a signal that it's going to be a multi-person.
I feel like Bayley got a little bit of credibility and respect back tonight. I feel like between this and last week, they're making her look a little better and not just booking her.
Well, they are, because she's in the multi-person match.
Right. There's a reason, exactly. But Nia's she's there. She's strong. That's pretty much what her role is. I don't think she necessarily has to make many pinfalls to be looked at as credible, at least in their eyes anyway. So, but don't you think Bayley might have actually changed it up a little bit tonight? The elbow was kind of a reverse elbow off the second rope. She changed up the moveset a little bit, the mannerisms a little bit. She looked a little refreshed and maybe trying a few new things.
Well, she's been fine. She's been over. Her matches have been good. I don't blame her at all. It's this WWE booking. They've made her look like a loser since she's lost the belt, just getting her ass kicked constantly. That kendo stick match, was just brutal the way they buried her in that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Bayley must be thinking it's her fault. She was on the Steve Austin podcast and basically sounded like she doesn't know what she needs to do to kind of go to the next level and what she's doing wrong and wanting to change things up. But you can't. I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like it was anything on her because she's had the fans. It's the crap that she's been given.
Yeah. Well, next week, Bayley versus Sasha, a match that could easily headline a pay-per-view, is happening on Monday Night Raw to determine
It was a
And it has.
takeover.
It has. Yeah.
Takeover
Well, not,
main event.
yeah, but I mean like a main roster paper.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was the main event of an NXT.
Yeah. So however much they, hype up their women's revolution and how far they've come, they really haven't. They have one women's program really on each show, which is always centered around the title, and then kind of nothing else.
But then what's with Triple H saying, oh, when we look at it, the women's segments are always the most watched and the highest rated. And it's like...
They can't, yeah.
No.
How?
Even if you look like at the YouTube numbers, I mean, unless something explosive happens, it's near the bottom almost every week. But I mean, we have things like the Mae Young Classic and that kind of thing. But even, we're hearing murmurings from the old school backstage officials that don't even like that. But I don't know how much of that is true, but it's kind of sad if it is true.
I'm sure.
But I mean,
I'm sure
to an extent, I'm sure it is.
Definitely people back there that have their mentality of what a superstar looks like and what a female superstar looks like, and men too. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't think Kevin Owens should be where he is and should not be a top guy, and people like that. So, yeah.
And Raj, back to your point, you were saying just how there's only one storyline pretty much per show for the women.
And tag teams.
Yeah, well, that too. Emma and Summer Rae were a little chatty on Twitter tonight in regards to that. Emma said she was celebrating her, I think, 5-year anniversary with WWE and, just hanging out backstage, chilling.
Yeah, and they even started a little storyline with her and Dana. Why not do Sasha and Alexa and then do Dana and Bailey against Nia and Emma, at the pay-per-view as well on the pre-show or something.
Yeah.
I mean, SummerSlam is looking like it's going to be 6 hours again. You got the 4-hour main card, and chances are it's going to be a 2-hour pre-show. You have plenty of time to fit all these people in without having to always do these multi-person women matches for the title.
Can we get an energy drink as a sponsor, Raj? Because I'm going to need some for that.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough one. I mean, it'll be great. I mean, it's always a lot of fun, but it does get to be tiring from our end, just with TakeOver and Raw and SmackDown the next 2 nights. It's a lot going on.
I just want to see more different things. The more SummerSlam looks like WrestleMania and these feuds that never end and never change and that you're sick of by the time it gets there. I mean, if we're locked into where we are right now, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of repetitive stuff with like little wrinkles and nuance, but not something fresh and original, which I think is a wasted opportunity. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So Brian Kendrick and Drew Gulak versus Jack Gallagher and Mustafa Ali with no purple ropes tonight. The Cruiserweights have finally arrived a year into their run. And
well, do we know that they either maybe just ran out of the purple tape? Somebody forgot it on the road? I mean,
budget cuts. They cut the pyro for budget reasons.
That's true.
Maybe the purple tape is starting to add up.
Hey, actual duct tape is expensive, and the colored one, they really get you on that. I mean, that's like twice as much per roll almost.
Yeah, budget cuts. Strike again. No purple ropes, but it helped a lot. I thought not having that.
It made them feel like
it took me a minute to realize I need to stop paying attention and I can get other work done. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man!
I thought Mustafa Ali looked really good tonight.
Yeah, it was a fine match.
It's just, again, this is kind of the same thing, where they just intermix. The same guys trade wins, and nothing means nothing.
Yeah, they just mix it. Let's bring back the quote unquote random match night. Do something.
But so cruiserweights can get 2 segments, but the women don't.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. See, is there any residual to that though? While they're still trying to boost 205 Live now that they've canceled Talking Smack, I know we'll get into that in a minute. But no, I'm being dead serious. They don't want you to forget about it, because a lot of the times the only people that hang around to watch 205 Live is just to get the Talking Smack. I mean, you have that group of people. So I wonder if they did that on purpose to actually try to plug the show.
I don't know.
What, the 2 segments?
Yeah, I mean, just I know there's separate storylines, but they almost put a little bit more emphasis than usual on the cruisers tonight.
If you're not interested in the cruiserweights at this point, like just showing you the same guys again and being like, how about now? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe they felt like it's the purple ropes is why it's not working.
Holding them back.
Yeah, so
you know what it sounds like to me, like the backstage politics, like for a year people have been saying that to Vince, and then finally they're like, what are we gonna do now? And Vince's like, I've got an idea. Let's get rid of the purple ropes.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, it's a fine match. So in a moment, we're going to talk about the latest with Enzo and Cass. But first, I want to thank the sponsor of this episode, DDPY. So you guys know Diamond Dallas Page got inducted into the 2017 WWE Hall of Fame, and famous not only for his work in the ring, out of the ring, but creating DDP Yoga, a program that's helped thousands of people, including some of the guys like Chris Jericho, Mick Foley, Goldust, AJ Styles, just to name a few. And DDP is celebrating his Hall of Fame induction with a DDP UK tour. You could join in on an inspirational Q&A and conversation with DDP in Glasgow, Manchester, Birmingham, and London. And at this event, he'll also be offering autographs and selfies with Dallas. If you saw his Hall of Fame speech, you know he could tell some inspiring stories. That guy can talk. Going to see him live, getting to ask questions. It's going to be great. It's going to be emotional, and it's also going to be funny. You'll be laughing your ass off. He's going to be kicking off his Hall of Fame UK tour September 2nd and 3rd at the Fanatic Expo in Harrogate, and that's Sunday at 5 p.m. You can also experience a DDP Yoga Workshop, and at this event, you'll be able to have inspiration meets perspiration and actually try some DDP routines with him right there. Get inspired, work on hitting your goals, getting hooked on DDP Yoga there in person. Those workshops are going to happen in Harrogate, Glasgow, Newcastle, Manchester, Birmingham, and London. Go to ddpuktour.com to reserve your spot and find out all the details. And if he's not going to be near you anytime soon, what better time to then get yourself the DDP Yoga Now app? Beauty of this app, streams right to your device. It's got over 150 workouts, live DDP workouts from the DDP Yoga Performance Center, endless healthy, great taste in cooking shows, and all the motivation you can eat. And inspiration that you can eat, which, let me tell you, not only does that not have calories, it burns calories. You can access them all on your phone or tablet. It's that easy. And to give you a little extra incentive, he is running a sale on DDP Yoga. Right now, you can get the apps and DVDs for 20% off. To take advantage of this, go to ddpyoga.com. Use the promo code SUMMER17 at checkout. That's the promo code SUMMER17. That will get you 20% off the DDP Yoga Now app, the DDP Yoga Now DVDs. Save money, take advantage of the sale. Get started today. Go to ddpyoga.com for all the details on the SummerSlam. It's not just time to change your life. It's time to own your life. Start today, ddpyoga.com, SUMMER17, and we thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
And real quick, if you're in the UK and you could go to one of those workshops, I went to one after WrestleMania, or before WrestleMania 32, where that night DDP was a surprise entrant in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. But he walks around, he introduces himself to everyone, he talks to everyone. He closes the workshop with everyone getting a personal selfie. So, I mean, it's very personal, it's very hands-on. So it's definitely a really cool thing and a cool way, to, not only get in shape, but be up and close with a WWE Hall of Famer. So definitely check it out if you're out there. Or if it comes in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. He's the 21st century Richard Simmons. Changing lives one at a time with DDP Yoga. So tonight, Enzo came out there, cut a lengthy promo addressing Big Cass. Big Cass came out, interrupted by Big Show. So, Raj, what's going on here exactly with this? Are we in a Big Show, Big Cass feud? Is there still something between Big Cass and Enzo? Is it a weird sort of triangle at this point?
I could see Enzo being. My guess would be that they're leading, because it appears like they're going with Big Show and Big Cass at SummerSlam. Now, it would be a weird thing to have it be Big Show and Enzo against Cass, and have two baby faces against one heel in a handicap match. We're still. What's the date for SummerSlam? August 21st.
August 20th.
August 20th. So we're still a little over a month away. I could see them doing Big Show versus Big Cass with Enzo in Big Show's corner or something like that. But yeah.
No, that's exactly the thought I had, honestly.
Yeah, or Enzo kind of just accompanying. You remember that when they did that stupid thing for a little while with Ricardo Rodriguez introducing Rob Van Dam?
Oh,
and being Raw Van
Oh,
Dam.
Jesus.
No, this is like Enzo in the Cyndi Lauper role. Just like they'll be in the corner. They'll be there during the entrance. You
Well,
know?
I think
they'll get a couple hits.
He'll be cutting his promo when Big Show comes out and kind of doing his shtick. But yeah, I see it being a short-term thing, and I don't know what you do with Enzo. You know, there are reports that he has heat backstage. That was in the Wrestling Observer, like massive heat. He got kicked off a tour bus by Roman Reigns for some comments he made about the business. So,
what did you hear? What the comments were?
That wasn't specified, but it was bad enough that can't change. He got kicked off the bus, and I think he's getting the Miz treatment, so he can't change in the locker room, or at least couldn't for a while. So yeah. So,
but yet they trust him to cut a 10-minute promo at the top of an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But
no, I mean, why wouldn't? I mean, he cuts a promo to get more heat on Cass.
Right. Well, that's true.
So
he's eventually accomplishing the objective they want anyway.
But remember, there's factions. It's not like because Roman Reigns has an issue as, quote unquote, the head of the locker room now, whatever. In that thing, because Reigns has an issue with him doesn't mean that all of the producers do. I mean, I think that's part of why it's such a messed up product is because you have these different factions with different ideas.
Yeah, but you always had it go to the top, as far as when someone has heat, like when Sin Cara.
Yeah.
It's and we could talk with Matt Morgan more about this next week, because he's seen a lot of it, but there are certain people, like when it gets to that level, like it used to be Undertaker, that spreads to the producers and everything. And you look at Enzo, how he's been booked in the ring, and he just gets destroyed. Like, no offense. Like even tonight, he cuts a promo. He's just there to watch the Big Show, and he still gets killed. So, yeah.
Well, he's been the ragdoll since day one on the main roster, though. He's been the babyface in peril to the hot tag. So, I mean, that's kind of been his role in general. I don't see it being that much different now.
It's a little different in that it's his. They did this, long-term split, this long-term storyline, and to just get utterly destroyed right off the bat.
Can't be that much heat. It's not like they're bringing in Bill DeMott as a producer or anything. That's how you'll know that Enzo and Cass's days are truly numbered. Yeah. Man, they got to do something with this story.
And supposedly, Big Cass has some heat because he's a Trump supporter and brings that up a lot in the locker room.
Which is so weird that would get him heat in the WWE.
I don't think it's that he's a Trump supporter. I think that he is outspoken about it backstage.
As opposed to members of the McMahon family that are in his cabinet and personal friends with him.
But they don't bring it up. You haven't heard the word Trump on WWE TV since he became president.
Well, it's not good for ratings. If his approval rating was higher, I'm sure they would. But
no, I don't think they would.
You don't think they would?
No, I mean, even when he won, they don't bring it up. I mean, if he was like 80%, I still don't think they would, because Linda's in there. It's kind of a conflict of interest. So I think they realize it's probably best to just keep quiet about it.
Yeah. Controversy the WWE shies away from. So this should be controversial because this is just disgraceful at this point. But man, what is up? Finn Balor and Elias Sampson keeps going and going and going, and now Bray Wyatt's added into the mix for some reason.
Well, I think it's Bray and Finn. We were talking about this last week with doing Bray and Finn at SummerSlam. And so it looks like they're heading that direction. So,
But how do we get Elias out of it? How does Elias?
Well, next week they got the no DQ match.
Okay.
So,
let's hope that's the last time we got to see this.
I'm pretty sure they already did the finish of this feud with Finn beating him clean last week. Shouldn't they have done the guitar shot last week?
It's nice to see him finally use the guitar.
Yeah, but man, that looks stiff. And did you see Finn? Finn got busted open. And he showed his cuts on Twitter, and that was not they didn't gimmick it right, or
no.
You remember when Honky Tonk Man used to use that back in the 80s, and it wasn't a gimmick guitar. He would use a real guitar and like really give, I think Jake Roberts got a concussion from it. And then they started to gimmick it, but yeah, man, he nailed him hard with that.
Yeah, I even think Jimmy Corderas was talking about that particular spot with Honky Tonk and Jake Roberts. on Twitter tonight. He's a great follow on Twitter if you guys don't follow him. But here's the thing: they're trying to elevate Samson with Balor. To me, it's kind of accomplishing it. Not really, but at the same token, it's bringing Balor down a notch. But it seems that we're moving forward to the Balor and Wyatt thing. So we get two pretty cool entrances. I see probably the reincarnation of the Demon on SummerSlam's entrance. So you have the really cool entrance factor there. Whether the match is going to be that great, who's to say? But you have sort of the bright lights, big city feel, and the big entrances. So I think that's sort of more of what they're going for with this feud than anything else.
It gives a reason to get that Demon character back out.
That's true. No, Finn versus Bray I'm into. It's just the Elias thing. Think back.
You know what? I bet you Elias beats him next week.
Oh, think back to last
year. It's no
year.
DQ. I bet you Bray comes in, lays him out.
Oh, yeah.
Elias gets the win.
Remember last summer, the top guys in the company, Finn Balor, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, all riding high in the main event, even Kevin Owens in the main event picture for the big titles, the big belts. And now we have Dean and Seth in a sort of kind of not really chase for the IC belt or up against the IC champion. Kevin Owens trying to get back to the US title with AJ Styles, another former top guy from last summer. It's just weird that all these guys are knocked down lower on the card. Now, I appreciate that it makes room for guys like Joe, but it's just so strange that these guys carried the company, it felt like, for, a year ago. And now...
Well, Finn never did.
No, well, he was but they put
him at the top, but he wasn't there long enough that you could say like he was, he
was poised to
carrying the load. Yeah, but, I mean, they were putting the rocket launcher on him,
and now in a feud with Elias Samson, working his way up to a feud with Bray Wyatt.
And their match wasn't even on the pay-per-view; they did it on Raw the next night.
It's just a year ago. These would not have been the predictions of where everyone would be at this time.
I mean, there's not enough room at the top for everybody.
I could guess that.
Their roster is so loaded right now.
I'll tell you, Samoa Joe's probably going to be in that spot in a year too.
Yeah. So a year from now, who's at the top spot, Raj? Who's the top guys in the company?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Bobby Roode. Someone they pick from, as far as on the baby face side, it'll still be Roman. And
one thing never changes. Roman Reigns is still in that main event picture.
Yeah, maybe, who knows? Maybe someone you can't think of, like a Jeff Hardy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The only thing constant is change. The wise man once said.
Yeah. There you go.
So we'll see what happens next week with that no DQ match. So Akira Tozawa versus Arya Daivari tonight. You guys hyped? Second cruiserweight match, red ropes. What'd you think, Chris?
I mean, it gave another layer to Tozawa and the whole manager thing with O'Neal. So, I mean, they're building a story there. I mean, so you have to
going sidewise with the Titus brand.
Yeah, I mean, you have to admit that they're at least trying with the storyline. Now, whether it's going to interest a ton of people, obviously, different aspect there. But at least they're trying. And that's all I can say, because Tozawa is the rare guy that actually, I think, gets it.
Tozawa's great. Raj, what do you think?
So,
they're giving a lower card gimmick to the title program in the cruiserweight title program, because Tozawa is still feuding with Neville, right? They didn't,
which no sign of Neville tonight. So.
No sign of Neville, but so you're building this challenger, and you put him in this kind of comedy feud with Titus. And did you notice they had Titus sitting down their backstage promo?
Yep. Somebody noticed that on Twitter tonight. I'm like, yep, that was a nice pickup on your part. So.
Yeah, so I guess so he doesn't dwarf over him backstage, but so you put him in this comedy storyline, and then you have him get beaten like this by a guy who has Daivari been on WWE on Raw in it's probably been months.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I think since he's gotten this new little sort of rich Iranian gimmick, the classy type thing, I think that's just been strictly on 205 Live.
Yeah, but even on 205 Live, he pops up like once every 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, he's been pretty consistent on 205 Live, I think.
Has he?
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's the segments that I skip or something, but I just think this division's dead. This is your top contender for the cruiserweight title. He's put in this comedy feud. I mean, this comedy angle, and he's feuding with Neville. Neville's the only guy with any credibility on there right now. Now the Aries is left.
Yeah, it's a weird sideshow.
Well, how do you fix? What would you do if someone's like, "What do we do with the cruiserweights?"
Break them up and integrate them as best as possible. Like, I mean, I would have done that a while ago. I would have taken Jack Gallagher and been like, Simon Gotch's going. Gallagher, you're within English. The vaudevillains at least are a known quantity. We're going to keep that going. And I would have just looked for where we can move people around to make it work. I would have put Neville and Aries certainly in a program. I would have involved Finn with that. You know, not in the cruiserweight division, but it was a main roster thing. I think Finn versus either of them would have been great.
Those guys would get killed then.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah, I was going to say, if you do that, they're just going to be job guys because they have the look of obviously the smaller competitor. I mean, they're just going to job out to the rest of the roster. And if you do that and they actually want to give them some credibility, that makes the regular guys lose a spot too. So to me, integrating, unless you did it with a vengeance and kept the title relevant still within, you know, while they're integrating the rest of the talent, it's kind of pointless to me.
But you don't think like Austin versus The Miz could have been something? I mean, some of these guys.
There's like two guys from the cruiserweights, I think. And then you already saw what they were doing with Neville before. Now, granted, he's very different now. He's turned it up 2,000%. But you've already gotten a glimpse of, you know, how they would push him. But what about you, Chris?
Because, like I said, I don't think the integration into the main roster stuff would work. But you know, taking away the purple ropes, I think, is a good step in the right direction. So it's just they've got to get away from the campy storylines. Now, originally, like the Ali and Gulak storyline, I hated because I thought it was cheesy as crap. But now I sort of low-key started to like it, and they've progressed with it nicely, and they've made a big to-do about it on 205 Live. So you've got to get away from the cheesy characters, cheesy segments, and get away from rest holds in a freaking cruiserweight match. It needs to feel different than the rest of the show. If you're going to hype it up as the most exciting hour on television or the most exciting division, you can't have a tried and true WWE style match just at a different weight class. The match has to feel different.
Here's what I think. I think either you can, if you don't need 205 Live, have the cruiserweights have a Raw cruiserweight title, a SmackDown cruiserweight title, because you got a lot of guys that aren't able to get on TV, and you do two different divisions. Now, that's not what I think would be ideal. What I think would be ideal would be make NXT 2 hours and have the cruiserweights merge into NXT. Get rid of them from the main roster. Get rid of them from Raw, and you can showcase a match if you wanted to. You could showcase a match from NXT with the cruiserweights, and then say this is the only place you can catch it, NXT, and because you only got two titles in NXT anyway, or three with the NXT title, the women's and the tag. So merge that in, and they would do a much better job with those storylines because Vince's hands aren't on it.
Even if it's 90 minutes, maybe not even 2 hours. I mean, give it space for that one storyline with the cruiserweights. I mean, that would be actually, I love that. Let's go ahead and write something up to that.
Yeah, because the NXT is so thin. It just feels thin right now. And I think it's something you have Neville, and all of a sudden it really bolsters it. So I think that's I mean, it sucks for them if they have these dreams to get to the main roster, but at least you're doing something that's not,
right. And even if they wanted to change up 205 Live, I think they should take it off the road and tape it Full Sail. I think it would be a much better atmosphere for those type of guys.
Yeah, get rid of the live. Just call it something else. 205 High or something.
205 High.
That's Denver, Colorado. That's your area. 205 High.
That's my crib.
205 High asterisk. The show's a lot better if you're high, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. But no, I think NXT would not be a bad place for some of these guys. NXT could use shot in the arm. Yeah. The Revival versus the Hardies. Speaking of some NXT alumni. Nice to see the Revival back on TV. Raj, what'd you think of the match itself?
I thought it was really good. Match of the night, I thought. I thought Reigns and Samoa Joe was also really good. But yeah, I thought this was awesome. Again, I thought they were kind of saving this for SummerSlam. And they might be. This could be another one of those deals where they just wrestle every week and
If you liked it tonight, you're going to love it 10 more times.
Yeah, next week they'll do a singles with Jeff and Dash, Matt and Dawson. I don't know. Last week it seemed like them losing was to set up the broken thing coming back. But tonight they cut down on that completely, right? Unless did I miss anything? Because I did have to go down.
No, not really. I didn't see much of the broken moniker tonight at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like, Anthem, they didn't sign off on that deal. It didn't happen. So I don't know. I don't see it. I don't know if it will happen. What they want, and what they're asking for, they said they want 50% of their merch, going forward, which, sounds, completely unreasonable. But at the same time, you do see these companies that they do license it out. So it's not like they give, you got to pay a fee. Remember Hulk Hogan for 25 years, he had to pay Marvel to use the word Hulk in his name. And then he finally, paid it, bought it outright after 25 years. So it's not unheard of for a company to want to license it. I think 50%, especially on things like Jeff Hardy's music and stuff, sounds insane. Mm-hmm. But let's put it this way: how much are the Hardys making right now in merch? I'm sure they're doing decent. But if they think this broken character would get over huge, I mean, would it be worth it? Would it make up for that gap? A
WWE version of the broken character, though.
Right. And how hard would WWE push it, not owning it? Would they do it as a short-term thing and then kill it because they don't own it and don't want it to be used elsewhere? What would suck? What would really suck for the Hardys if they did agree to that and agreed to give 50% of all their merch, and then WWE decided they didn't want to go forward with the broken gimmick, and they get stuck having to pay 50% of all their other merch anyway. Anyway, that would suck. But
sounds like something that could very well happen. Especially given how they build towards things and drop things. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they were going to bring that Bully Ray character back. Bubba Ray was talking about that. Like they were going to do it, and they dropped it the day that they were going to do it. They decided not to.
Yeah.
And I may be regionally biased here, but both teams out of North Carolina, tag team wrestling at its peak in the Carolinas from the 70s and 80s on up until now, apparently. So just a little toot my own horn there for a minute. So no, it was a really fun match. Like Raj said, I thought it was match of the night. So it's Revival kind of covered up some of the athletic, I guess, limitations of the Hardys in this one, and they sold their behinds off. And Revival's just really good at what I call, the little things, the selling, the facial expressions, the mannerisms, that kind of thing.
I thought their promo before was also fantastic, talking about the Hardys being the epitome of the flippy stuff.
Yeah, I bring this up a lot, but if this is the feud going forward for a while, is the Hardys and the Revival, why not have the Revival cut a promo explaining why they attacked the Hardys last week? Why just go directly? Revival attacks them, go directly to a match. Why not do a little storyline, do a little build, and then get to the match a couple weeks down the road?
And I think the Revival are highly underrated on the mic. I think they are a lot better than people will give them credit for.
They just mix up the formula a little bit. It doesn't need to be just the top, singles guys that get promo time. Give the tag teams more of a storyline. Give the women more of a storyline, and the product won't feel so formulaic.
No, and instead tonight we got the soap opera open, and then the Jerry Springer moment of the reveal of the illegitimate child.
Yeah,
that was the storytelling.
That at least they did something there. So
yeah,
we'll get back to that.
So yeah, that segment was after or before. It was somewhere in the mix. Oh yeah, it was before the Hardys and the Revival, the reveal. Which and good on them, good on the Revival and the Hardys for following that segment and getting the crowd into it and doing such a good match. Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe. So this match lengthy for the final segment, interrupted by Braun Strowman, and to be continued.
No?
Yeah, it has to be. What are your thoughts, Raj?
Yeah, it's looking like, I don't know if they go with the 4-way.
Everything's a fatal 4-way. Everything at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's kind of what it's looking like, right? I mean, the fact that they had Braun and Samoa Joe battling, and yeah, unless they did some weird thing where they do a three-way with them, with the winner getting Brock. But then they're just doing that too much, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they've got time to build it, and I do want to give props to one of our followers on Twitter, Tim Segla. I apologize if I just butchered your last name. But obvious prediction of the night, 11:02 Eastern, Braun runs in, causing the DQ, fatal four-way at SummerSlam. Now, there was technically no DQ. I had the entrance at 11:01, but kudos to Tim. That was a great call on your part, my friend.
Yeah. I'd prefer they just did, you know, I'd prefer they did Brock and against Brock against Samoa Joe. And you do Roman with the Shield. You do the Shield reunion with like Miz and Samoa Joe and someone else. I mean, Bray Wyatt and someone else, or not, never mind, not Bray Wyatt. He's with Finn, but not the Miztourage, but two stronger heels. And but it's not looking like that.
I mean, but if you look at it though, this fatal four-way has the potential to be like an all-time fantastic match, just based on the formulaic rundown that we've seen with Braun and Roman, and then you have Joe and Lesnar that had this, you know, hellacious match at the last pay-per-view. I mean, these four guys could just absolutely murder each other, and it'd be fantastic.
You know how you do it is you split it up to where it devolves into two concurrent backstage fights that goes beyond the ring and just goes into complete chaos throughout the Barclays Center. Like, go really big with that for SummerSlam.
Right. Look, I don't agree. I mean, I don't disagree that you open yourself up to a lot more possibilities and the match will be good. I just think from a storyline standpoint, with the main event storyline, it's just always better when it's with two people as opposed to when it's a multi-person match. And for an event like SummerSlam, I'd much rather see that good storyline build like you had with Lesnar and Joe. And I just think it's just going to be, you know how they do these fatal four-ways. Now you're going to see some variation of these three guys mixing it up every week for the next, 4 weeks, and Brock coming in at the end once in a while. But so yeah, that's why for that reason alone, just for that storyline aspect, I just think that the build can be so much better if it's with two as opposed to the multi-person. When was the last time they did an awesome multi-person build? Awesome build for a multi-person match.
Money in the Bank last year, which y'all hated,
last year.
but I love the build up to it.
Yeah, definitely not this year as much, but last year possibly. Let's see, who was that last year? I can't remember.
Jericho, Patron.
Oh yeah,
or Del Rio, Owen, Zayn, and Dean.
What was great about it?
Well, they really made that the story going through. Now I know you hated the what was it, 5 men or 6 men on a ladder in search of a dream.
Yeah, when they're cutting the promos on top of the ladder.
Yeah, that was corny.
God, you guys need to go see some theater, and you'll understand and appreciate.
But you thought
with an RE, a theater with an RE.
Theater. It was great because they were each giving a little monologue about what it means to them, and they had a little I'm telling you, in terms of segments, that's in my top 10 for the last year or so.
Oh my gosh.
We told the story. We got everyone's perspective, everyone's emotion, and what they had invested in it. Even Jericho's whole thing with the Appleton and all that, it worked. But my point is, though, they really told a story for a multi-person match. But that's the only way you can do it, is each person has to have this strong perspective to it. You have to really invest in it, and they're not going to do that with 4 people right now. Money in the Bank, it only worked because that was the main event of Money in the Bank.
Well, let me ask you this, Raj, because you'd probably know more about this than I do. Do they do these multi-man matches, multi-woman matches, so they get more people on the card at a big pay-per-view to get other people, more people paychecks?
Yeah, and you protect the top stars. So, like, you could beat, you can go without beating Lesnar, Strowman, or Roman. Mm-hmm. Lesnar, Roman or Strowman. That
Samoa Joe eats the pin.
It's kind of hard to say. Yeah, Samoa Joe eats the pin. Yeah. So, again, they keep doing this with the women's division, and it's going nowhere. I mean, you look at the SmackDown women's division; it's just like they're treading water. And until you put these intense storylines, one-on-one that people can really sink their teeth into, that's what they're going to keep doing, is just running in place.
Yeah.
But Strowman's return tonight. That was fun.
That was great.
That was kind of neat. I like that.
Yeah, 2 weeks seems to be the standard comeback from injury. You miss one episode, you're back the next. So yeah, you know, it's cool. Strowman's a top guy now. He's legit top guy. He feels like a main eventer now. He feels like but he still seems like a heel. So I guess that wasn't a babyface turn, you know, at the pay-per-view.
You know what they're doing right though about Roman and Braun is that they're giving it these flourishes and trying to outdo themselves a little bit with some of these rematches. I wish every time we had to see you know, Gallows and Anderson against Sheamus and Cesaro, they found a way to take it up a notch.
None of those guys were on tonight, huh?
No, they were on main event.
Nope.
Gallows and Anderson they were on main event, I believe.
So they beat the Hardys last week and nothing this week.
Nowhere to be found. Yep.
And where was Goldust and R-Truth?
R-Truth was on main event.
Yeah.
But I was hoping they'd do, you know, something with Goldust with someone new.
Yeah.
As opposed to fading into main event, you know, obscurity.
Okay, so here's the question. I posed this on Twitter. Who's Jason Jordan going to go against now? Or is it going to be him against Kurt Hawkins on his way down to the main event? Not main event of Raw, but main event, the show that they taped before Raw.
Oh, they're not going to do that yet. They're going to give him a push. I mean, this is a big.
Who though?
You could do Elias Sampson.
They could start with Hawkins. I mean, that seems to be the first stepping stone.
Yeah, but not as a feud, as a one show match.
As a step, right?
Yeah,
Hawkins isn't even a stepping stone. He's like a stepping pebble. He's like a pebble that gets caught in your shoe, and you try and take off your shoe to get it out of it. I mean,
right? No, for sure they could do Hawkins for his first match. But as far as like a program, because I'm sure they'll give him a spot at SummerSlam. So who's that with? I mean, you could do Goldust. You know, they gave Goldust that win. Yeah,
Goldust will come in and be like, strangely, I hate nepotism. So I really have it out for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Because Jordan's new catchrise apparently is that he's gold-blooded.
Oh, there you go.
So that's natural fit. So there you go.
Yeah. There you go.
This is
WWE. Again, I like that they're doing something with Jordan. He didn't look very comfortable out there, but maybe give him a little time. But
not a terrible catchphrase, by the way. I've heard much worse lately. So
yeah,
not the worst. So yeah, interesting Raw. Kind of getting a sense of what the next month is going to be like in the build to SummerSlam. I want to be surprised. That's my only hope in all of this. I just want some surprises.
Yeah, you got one tonight.
Yeah. See how that shakes out. Speaking of surprises, Talking Smack got canceled the other day. Well, Talking Smack really got reduced. It's still going to exist after pay-per-views.
Yeah, and if that Sports Illustrated story is correct, then that's going to eventually go away too.
Yeah, although Meltzer is saying the SI story was not correct. So who to believe?
Well, I think Meltzer was giving his opinion. Like that it doesn't make sense that Vince all of a sudden would want to drop it, but keep it for pay-per-views. I think he might have missed the part where it said that Vince wants to get rid of it, because it's like thrown in there as the last sentence. But yeah, they dropped it. It was, to me, that's the only thing that makes sense why they would drop it, because it doesn't cost that much to produce. It's great practice for the guys to work on their promos, work on ad-libbing. There just didn't seem like any disadvantage to having it, other than, it wasn't always in the top 10, but for something that's so cheap to produce, why does it matter? It still beat 205 Live, and you got all these contracts that you're paying for 205 Live, and these time slots, and no one cares, and killing the audience, for twice on Raw, and then an hour after SmackDown. So yeah, I don't get it. The Sports Illustrated thing about Vince not liking the unscripted nature of it, I could definitely see that happening. Like maybe last week he saw Cena saying something that he felt like Cena shouldn't be saying. That's not what corporate Cena should say, and that could just set him off. And I'm not saying it was Cena, but I could see something, or anyone on that show, I could see him just being like, well, that's not what I want our writers to, you know,
Yeah.
that's not what they should be saying. We need our writers to get on this. And
Well, that's the thing. Do you think that Mr. McMahon was looking out for, now, granted, this is not on the main network, it's on the WWE network, but maybe potential sponsors? Is he afraid of somebody saying something that could cost the company? Because, you know, darn that creativity that the wrestlers come up with themselves.
Daniel Bryan is the only one, and maybe the Usos one time said something, but it was mostly Daniel Bryan that just...
Right, but if it was John Cena, his poster child, that he saw the episode of and didn't like it, my God, I'd hate to see him when he's watching another one.
well, Cena was very corporate, so I couldn't think that,
Yeah,
you know, would have been a reason.
right.
He gave the answers you'd want, you know, that Vince would like, I would think.
Mhm.
You never know, you know. See, Vince blew a gasket when Stone Cold had Heyman on his podcast and started talking about a match with Lesnar, you know, and it was the most talked about thing. And, you know, probably rightfully so, because it got people excited about a match that's not going to happen. So I don't know. I think Vince is just, you look at what's so stale about the product now. It's not being organic. It's not feeling real. And Talking Smack was one of those shows where you finally, stuff seemed real, and
It got people over naturally. I mean, Miz.
Where would the
Kevin
Miz's career
Owens.
be right now if it weren't for Talking Smack?
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Owens, even AJ Styles to an extent, the Usos, this has been a great platform for. Even like Carmella has came out of her shell a little bit on Talking Smack. So, I mean, Baron Corbin, another good example.
Baron
a lot
Corbin
better.
comes out way better on Talking Smack than he ever
Absolutely.
does with the scripted stuff they give him on TV.
So, I mean, it was just the fact that apparently Vince pulled the plug and apparently did not inform his hosts. Was
that part
slightly,
doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did it go public before it got to them? That's kind of shady there.
And you hear a lot of times about people finding out about their release on, you know, on sites like ours, and, you know, on Twitter. So
was the rumor true that Renee was even in Connecticut at corporate that day shooting something with Mean Gene?
Oh, I didn't even hear that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, so who knows, man? But I think if Vince has a problem with unscripted nature, I think the next step is going to be patrolling how the wrestlers behave on social media and breaking kayfabe. And, you know, I could see that similar, like you were talking tonight, Summer Rae and Emma. I think I'm shocked they haven't put a stop to that already.
This is why there's so few personalities in wrestling right now, like unique personalities that you hear. If you were to read the promo, you'd be like, oh, that's so-and-so, you know. You don't see that at all. And you compare that to when wrestling was at its hottest. It always had those individual superstars. And you look at right now with Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. I mean, it's the amount of attention that's getting. And granted, wrestling can't get that, but if you created these big stars, and you saw that with Lesnar and Goldberg, when they did that, it got the attention of other people, and it got, you know, ratings jumped up for a little bit, and it can draw people in when you got those engaging personalities, and they don't allow that. Yeah, Talking Smack was a vehicle that you could start getting some of these wrestlers becoming more of a personality, and boom.
Yeah, and the hosts facilitated that too, because Daniel Bryan was really good. He asked the pressing questions, you know, sometimes the joking questions. Renee was a great person to bounce off of for the talents, because she's so good at her job. She made the other talents feel comfortable. You know, it was a great vehicle.
Yeah, it did suck that it was on after 205 Live. I loved it before 205 Live started, when it was right after SmackDown. For the life of me, I've never been able to figure out why they didn't keep it that way and have 205 Live on after SmackDown, unless they just assumed that no one would tune in before SmackDown for it.
Yeah, I think this is going to hurt 205 Live for sure going forward. So, I mean, we'll see. Did you guys sign the petition? Max Landis, wrestling superfan Max Landis, almost 13,000 signatures.
They're never, it's completely pointless.
Yeah, I know. It feels good, though. Feels good to kind of, you know, stick it to
the day they give in to one of these petitions. So that's why if you put like a Bulldog in the Hall of Fame, you see that come around every so often.
Yeah.
when you do that, I almost feel like WWE is more inclined not to do it because they don't want to make it seem like they gave into a petition, because then otherwise
everyone's going to petition everything.
Everyone's going to, you had people petitioning Roman Reigns' vest and just
you know what, Glenn, just keep doing your civic duty, man. Make yourself feel good.
Yeah. Hey, I got to be honest. This was the one that was closest. If I hadn't already paid for the year, I was like, I'm going to cancel the network and put this as my reason why. Like, this'll do it. This'll do it. I'll reactivate my subscription, but at least I'll go through the motion of canceling the network to send a message.
Every time, it's funny. Every time there's like a big canceled WWE network movement, the numbers usually go up.
Yeah.
That's like right now, all these people are talking about boycotting Impact, because of the Hardies and their issues.
Wow.
And Impact's done their best 2 numbers the last 2 weeks,
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the majority of America is already boycotting Impact. They don't even know it. Just given their ratings. But yeah, look, it is what it is. But talking smack, everyone's heard us talk about it on the podcast. I think since it launched, I've missed maybe 1 or 2 episodes in a year. And I think it's the best thing the WWE has done because of its unscripted nature and letting the performers develop.
Yeah. Anytime you see stuff like the unscripted stuff, like when I hear Roman Reigns on Chris Jericho's podcast, when they do like the ride-alongs, have you ever watched those? Mm-hmm. These people, they seem like they have very different personalities that you could tap into. And they don't get into that.
Yeah, Southpaw Regional Wrestling.
You're going to see that. Well, you guys were talking about Breaking Point.
Breaking Ground.
You saw it there too.
Yeah, Breaking Ground, honestly, the internet wrestling community, which, if you look at me, you can tell, that's a guy that's tapped into that. The IWC, I'm telling you, Breaking Ground turned a lot of people's opinions on guys like Mojo, on guys like Corbin. Like, that was the epicenter for a lot of that, of saying like, oh, maybe this guy's actually not the douchebag that he comes across as, in NXT. Or in the case of Baron, maybe he is, but we appreciate it now.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said. It's a missed opportunity. I would think they should be doing more unscripted stuff, but I guess they don't trust the wrestlers. And now talking smack after the pay-per-views, I think it's going to be like Raw talk. You have people out there with IFBs, in their ear, Vince telling them what to say, and it's just going to not be as fun.
Yep, and Unfiltered also canceled. So Renee Young looking for work.
Yeah, two of her shows in the same day.
She's still employed for the time being.
She's the best that they got at that stuff.
By far.
She's so good.
Yeah, but this, answer my question. I've been wondering for years, how come the WWE doesn't have a podcast network? This is why. Could you imagine? They can't even handle having Stone Cold's podcast on the network anymore. Could you imagine if they had weekly podcasts going out? I think Vince would lose his mind. So last piece of news, or we got 2 quick things. One, what's up with Paige and Alberto El Patron, Raj? What's the latest?
So they made an appearance over the weekend at a soccer game. They're back together. Alberto Del Rio suspended. And I'm guessing it doesn't seem like anything's going to come of this investigation, because if there was anything serious, I don't think they probably would have arrested him. Bo Dallas got arrested at an airport, for being intoxicated. So, and
singing Hakuna Matata. Some things are sacred, Raj.
Right. So they got their stories. Alberto almost did an interview with us last week because he wanted to kind of speak out on this. So I don't see anything coming of it. I'm sure by the time the next Impact taping, which is a month from now, August 17th, I think it'll all be blown over. But I do think they have to have him drop the title. He's just had way too many incidents. And Paige, it's just such a train wreck that, when we first reported a few weeks ago about Paige and Del Rio breaking up, a lot of friends thought that might have been the real deal. And then obviously it turned out not to be. And they'd broken up many times in the past, but I was kind of relieved at first when they broke up, because I was like, okay, because it seemed very unhealthy. And it's still going.
And in regards to the suspension, Raj, do you think for Global Force and Impact that this was more or less just a PR move? Because if you think about it, like you said, the next tapings are mid-August, and a lot of this is going to be blown over most likely. So, you know, everything's already taped for TV. He's going to be on the program unless they edit him out. So, I mean, they're not going to strip him of the title. So, really, this was more just a PR move more than anything to do with the program.
Right. You know, I asked Jeff Jarrett on the conference call. I asked him, you know, if they were stripping him of the title. They weren't even going to do that. So, yeah, I definitely think that's what it is. Alberto's all over, you know, the TV right now. He's their champion. He's involved in their main angle. They're releasing, you know, Bruce Pritchard talking about Alberto Del Rio and LAX. So they're continuing with all the storylines like they should. That would be too much of a pain to edit them out. But he still advertised for their upcoming live events, and they sent out new advertising after a suspension with him listed on it. So I think, it's a PR move. I think they know it'll blow over, and I think they are not planning on changing any plans for now.
So last story, was going on a high note. Rey Mysterio back to the WWE. Raj, what's the story?
I can only go off of what Sports Illustrated reported, and that is that, yeah, Rey is, you know, apparently talking with both WWE and Global Force. The thing that to throw in Global Force, it almost makes it seem like, I think it's pretty clear that Rey's people are putting it out there, and that they're throwing out Global Force to get a better deal, or vice versa, because it seems very, you know. But yeah, so I think that says a lot about the future of Lucha Underground. A lot of people, there was someone else the other day that was talking from Lucha Underground that was talking about wanting to face, you know, some women in TNA, I mean, Global Force. So I just get that feeling like it's fourth season of Lucha Underground's not looking very promising. And so Rey's contract is up. He'll have a 90-day non-compete from when the season ends. And so that'll be September. So
Christmas time,
right around Royal Rumble time.
Royal Rumble.
Yep.
So he's banged up. I don't know how much he can do a full-time schedule, but you know, come back for one last run, or if they could get something more part-time, because, you know, WWE keeps trying to make these, they keep wanting to make the next Rey Mysterio and haven't been able to. So you might as well get the real thing. Yeah. I mean, look at Kalisto. We haven't even seen him for a while.
Yeah. Bring him back at the Rumble, make him number 30 again.
Yeah, someone's saying have him go to the Cruiserweights. That's killing your investment, because Rey isn't going to come cheap.
No, not
Do you think
at all.
that was part of the idea with 205 Live, was to specifically compete with Lucha?
I think it was to give because Raw being 3 hours, it was to add a little variety to it and give it a different, you know, a different flavor. I don't know I think NXT is more to compete with ROH and.
Oh yeah. But I mean, the timing of the 205 thing, it was right when Lucha Underground was getting, I mean, it already had the buzz, but it was, if I recall correctly, it was before they started their season. I don't know. There might be something there, a little conspiracy theory.
And someone's asking about Meltzer saying WWE wants to bring back CM Punk. No, that's not what he said. What Meltzer said a couple weeks ago was he was just making a point, like with Morrow being gone, is that they'll bring you back. So they would want CM Punk back, but you know, CM Punk does not want to return. He said as much on a radio show just last week on ESPN Radio. So he's not. Go ahead.
How long till Hogan's back?
I don't know. I mean, the fact that it hasn't happened yet, maybe they just don't think it's worth it. I mean, really, what do you gain? I mean, Hogan's role would be as a, you know, kind of a God, what's the word? Ambassador, really, and to make a couple TV appearances here and there. So is it worth it to, when you see all the stuff they push, all their charity work and all that?
I want to see Hulk Hogan bring him back as ambassador. Hulk Hogan's our cultural ambassador.
My God,
that seems like a Vince McMahon idea.
Yeah. Hey, he'll sell some merch if nothing else. I mean,
he's an icon. I mean, he's
Bill Cosby's an icon too. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
OJ's an icon.
Ric Flair is. They're not doing anything with him, so. Yeah, so I don't see it, but I mean, I could see him doing like little appearances here and there, but not back in like a real role.
Yeah. But I was gonna say CM Punk or Hogan first. I think Hogan before Punk. Yeah.
Yeah. Hogan.
And CM Punk's still under contract with UFC.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He's still his lawsuit's still going with WWE. I mean, well, with Dr. Amen. So
yeah,
he hates them. I think if CM Punk really, this UFC thing isn't working out, but I could see them giving him one more fight, just with how rough a year they've had with Rousey retiring, Conor McGregor, fighting Mayweather, so he's not having any UFC fights. And did you guys see those press conferences?
No, but yeah, I've seen the highlights. They're doing pro wrestling better than pro wrestling at this point.
They did for a couple days, and then they got just
the last
terrible.
Two. They ran out of material, and it was just racist garbage for most of it. But
it was just them calling each other bitch for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's what it devolved to. But yeah. So with all those, they've had like no big money fights this year, so I could see them giving CM Punk another.
Now, sort of switching gears, last topic, I don't know if we were going to cover this or not, but with the Mae Young Classic tapings, what about the 4 horsewomen of WWE standing off against the 4 horsewomen of the MMA? Anything to possibly even look into that at all?
I think so. I could totally see. I mean, they were really pushing it. I mean, as soon as Ronda Rousey was there, I remember emailing Mark, and I'm like, I could see them having Shayna Baszler win this whole thing. Because it gets Ronda in the ring and, the photo ops. And so just having the whole tournament to get Ronda Rousey. It's kind of like doing the Andre the Giant Battle Royal to get that photo op with Gronk.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, I could never see Ronda doing a full-time WWE schedule.
She's doing Battle of the Network Stars right now on ABC.
Yeah.
As a coach. I mean, that's a year ago, even, 2 years ago, a year ago, people would have been like, oh, that's so beneath her. Her star is falling.
Her star is falling. So I could see her doing some stuff, definitely. And I could see them. I just think if you get Ronda Rousey to do it, a 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match, I just think she's too big of a star for that.
Yeah.
But it does seem like they're teasing it. So I almost think like they'll probably do something like Shayna versus, someone with everyone in the corners or something like that, because I just think it would be kind of a waste to, use Ronda for that.
Yeah. And I don't think you can involve her, without signing her under contract, because she's got to win. It would bury the existing women on the roster. So Ronda better be under contract if that's the case.
Well, no, they did, they had Stephen Amell come in and,
a little different. Stephen Amell, not really known.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's worse. It's worse when you get someone not known coming in beating your guys than a superstar. So, they always bring celebrity. Whenever they bring a celebrity in, they're not signed to a contract. Mayweather, they had in the past all the time. They'd be contracted for that match, but that's it.
But don't you think, given how much they've tried to build up the credibility of their own women's division, it would just annihilate that to have a quote-unquote real women's fighter come in and win?
No. I think it would give a huge rub if they did Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. I think it would help Charlotte a lot.
I think you go WrestleMania style.
And you wouldn't have a multi-person match then, for once, for the women.
You go the Mr. T route, you pair them up. Ronda and Bayley right there.
There you go.
Yeah. Tagging. So active night tonight, guys.
Busy news week.
Busy. God. Who thought that Kurt Angle's illegitimate son would be the least of it? Cool. So we'll be back here on Wednesday.
Real quick, where I think they should go with this Kurt Angle illegitimate son thing?
Huh.
I think they should do that EC3 angle where Kurt Angle's kind of favoring Jason Jordan a lot, getting him out of matches where he'll lose and stuff like that, and just both of them turning heel like that, because Angle's been a little underwhelming as GM. So I think it would kind of give them something fresh and keep him involved, especially because it doesn't look like they're moving towards him and Triple H. I think those wheels would have been in motion by now.
Yeah, they've booked him sort of devoid of character. It's funny, I was watching the 24 special of Kurt Angle, and it's amazing to look back at all the stuff he did. and what a character he was, and now he's just this sort of affable, likable guy. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff he's doing outside of this angle, the storyline, it gets confusing using angle, but it's stuff that Mick Foley could have said or anyone could say.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not really something you need a Kurt Angle for. So I think you get him and Jason Jordan and getting them heelish and giving him all these opportunities. I think you could be onto something.
Yeah. I mean, we wanted an angle with American Alpha. We kind of got it in a weird, twisted sort of way.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And bring Chad Gable to Raw and have them feud if you do turn Jason Jordan heel.
I mean, sure, but and with Jordan maybe turning heel on Angle, that match could be fun.
Yeah, and at least you're giving the rub to somebody young and not Triple H.
Exactly.
Yeah, loved Gable's response on Twitter tonight. You think they told him ahead of time that this was happening?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. They keep these things so secret. I mean, I'm sure they told Jordan to come to TV.
Yeah.
Because you hear about Seth Rollins didn't know he was winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 32 until the middle of the show.
Huh.
So, the fact that they wouldn't tell Rollins that, but they, tell American Alpha their big intricate storyline. I don't know. My guess is that he might have not known.
Oh, we'll see what happens tomorrow night with Chad Gable on SmackDown. Wednesday, we'll be back here 12 noon Eastern to talk about all of it. And who's our guest this week, Raj?
Joshua Barnett from USA Today.
Awesome.
So he'll be reviewing SmackDown with us and going over all the news, and we'll preview Battleground. We got a pay-per-view on Sunday. Totally forgot about that.
Another one. It's going to be something.
Yeah.
Don't be so overjoyed, Glenn. My goodness.
It's just,
Man, we've gone way over tonight.
Yeah, it's that kind of week.
Chatty Cathy's.
Yeah.
Well, hot night in wrestling. For all the latest news, still got almost 500 people watching this live. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody. This is great. Stay tuned to Wrestling Inc. for all the latest and greatest in wrestling news. Matt Morgan should be back Sunday to talk about Battleground. We'll be here on Wednesday to give it a preview in addition to SmackDown. And Raj, anything you want to plug?
Got an interview with Sean Mooney coming up. Stuff with Buff Bagwell, just a bunch of stuff. So stay tuned.
Cool.
Another GFW press conference this Wednesday. Shouldn't be as newsworthy. They've got JB and Abyss and someone else, but yeah. So we'll have all of that.
Cool, man. Chris, where can people find you on the Twitters?
They can find me at knockdown_radio, and as always, hang out with me on the Wrestling Inc. Twitter as well on Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, and NXT Live Viewing Party too.
Cool, guys. So until next time, I'm Glenn Rubenstein. On behalf of myself, Mr. Raj Giri, Mr. Chris Callicutt, and what the heck, Mr. Matt Morgan as well, who couldn't be here this week. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and we'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.